You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good morning, Quasar Markets Live. It is Tuesday, February 3rd. Markets are breathing nicely here today. So a little bit of an up day yesterday for us, and we're seeing some continued strength across the equities so far. Right now, the Dow is the laggard, down about 5 basis points here at 40, just below 49,500. And you can see within whispers 500 of its all-time high, 49,901. So while it is breathing a little to the downside, it's not really a deep breath, is it? Taking a look at the S&P, remains above 7,000 here at 7,017, up about 21 basis points headed into the morning session. And the leader so far today, tech and the NASDAQ, up about 52 basis points, trying to get towards that $26,000 mark here this morning, as we see earnings pushing some of the tech names significantly higher here today. And welcome again, everybody. Please do me a favor, hit the like button, smash the follow button, share this feed, help us reach more retail traders here. It really does help us out a lot. We really do appreciate you all. And again, welcome to Quasar Markets. Looking at volatility, it has ticked back down to fairly much neutral here. So as geopolitics have taken a back seat a little bit to the earnings, as the rhetoric, or at least the threat of something happening in the Middle East, seems to at least be dissipating for the time. And as the president has reached across the globe to sign a trade treaty with India, one of the more important and largest nations in the world, of course. So those things have the markets breathing a little bit. We also had very strong ISM manufacturing numbers yesterday, breaking through 50. I'll bring that up with BigBeat at 9 o'clock this morning to get his take. But it shows the economy is actually expanding, maybe not retracing or retracting as we've thought. So that has rates, the 2-year, the 10-year, and the 30-year moving up. Focused on the 10-year, you can see back up towards 4.3 here. Its recent high is 4.31. So we are getting a little bit maybe of a digestion of Kevin Warsh as the selection as Fed president, combined with the strong ISM and some of these strong earnings reports, saying that maybe rates higher for longer are in the cards. With that being said, it has the dollar down slightly here, not really that much, only down about 4 basis points. And again, it regained that key $97.27 mark that Mr. Flanagan had been looking at. I do see that Disney has, breaking news, named Parks boss Josh Damaro as its next CEO to succeed Bob Iger. That will become effective March 18th. So that's just coming across the screen here. I see. Staying in the same area here, gold and silver catching a bid, man. I hope BigBeat. I believe he's long, so he nailed this silver trade like you have never seen. Shorting it from those highs at 121, although he shorted it on the way up, but was shorting all the way to the top. There, he did buy the bottom, and now look at that. He said he'd sell at 85, 86, I believe, is what he said yesterday if it shot up quickly. Knowing my man, he is most likely already taken profits here. If he hasn't, he probably will be soon. But man, silver catching a bid again. Gold, same type of situation here, threatening to break back above that $5,000 mark, up about 6% here. So that does, of course, translates to some of the gold and metals miners, and some of the high movers we do see today are those mining companies like SSRM, Sierra, Romeo. I don't know what M is. Mike. So that is what we're looking at here. SSRM, nice move to the upside. PPTA in that same sector, right? Up about 6.24%. Newmont, which is NEM, up about 5.43% here today. And USAR up about 7.19%. Some of this is on the fact, too, that the White House and the president announced that they will be supporting purchasing rare metals and minerals here. We'll have a strategic stockpile. So that does have some of this moving also in the drivers. Staying in the commodity sector, we do see a little bit of a pickup in both the WTI and Brent. So the two big oil benchmarks that we keep an eye on, both up slightly here. What's moving to the downside is nat gas. I'm a little surprised that it's still moving to the downside after an announcement I saw overnight where they mentioned that Europe is at their 50% level for the first time in years, so lowest level in years of supply of nat gas. Bitcoin and Ethereum not really catching a bid yet. Bitcoin looked like it was going to break out maybe yesterday, rejected at the 79,000, a little above it, 79,350 or so, rejected above it. And it has been retracing. 78,000 has been some solid support so far. So right now in a tight bid, one of those two sides will break. Looks a little bit more likely the bottom side breaks than the top side, unfortunately, but we'll see what we get here today on that. Ethereum looks a little worse than Bitcoin right now. It's actually seen more liquidations over the last 24 hours than Ethereum. You don't see that all that often. So again, looking at a week on the crypto side so far this morning. Did have good sort of strong communications out of the White House yesterday where the banking regulators met with some of the crypto folks to try to hash out an agreement for the Clarity Bill. White House has made it clear to both sides they want that settled sooner than later. So hopefully we'll see that. And it has been a little bit of a mixed bag. We had seen all of the overseas trading in the green, but now the stocks, the European stock market, has moved slightly into the red. Hong Kong stock market up about 22 basis points, and Japan leading the way with the Nikkei up about 1.12% this morning or overnight. So we'll see what we get at the open. It is very much earnings here today. That is definitely what is moving the needle. It is a single ticker's tape. Sectors do matter. We're definitely seeing some cyclical sector transformations as folks try to digest earnings here. So let's get right into the earnings. Let's start off with the two of the big beats out there. Let's start with one of the largest companies in the world, will take, well, not really, $352 billion company. It is definitely a big one, but one that we know controversial when it comes to, is it worthy of the huge earnings forward growth that it trades at? And when I say that right now, Palantir is trading at 230 times its earnings. So I already know what BigBeat's going to tell me at 9 o'clock. But it jumped about 11% right after its earnings, as the data analytics company reported solid fourth quarter earnings. Revenue jumped 70% from a year earlier to a record $1.41 billion on strong demand for its AI technology. This is what I have been talking about now, for the last 18 months on this show, right? Is that its commercial sector revenue soared 137%. Palantir has been well known within the DC circles because it's one of those what we call beltway bandits. It is a company that derives a lot of its income from the federal government contracts it has, but Palantir is making the pivot to also really focusing on the commercial sector, and that is showing with 507 million. So more than a third of its sales now coming from their commercial side. They also issued a first quarter forecast that did beat consensus views. So Palantir up here right at 164.95. You can see it gets it back above the 200-day simple moving average here. And this one's been, you got a little bit of a head and shoulder formation that sort of formed. How does it play out from here is the question. But nice move back up to that 165 area. Another one that had strong earnings overnight is Teradyne, the electronic production company. Can't even see where they're at here. Whoop, there they come at $300 here. They are the maker of test systems for semiconductors and robotics. Robotics was a big part of their earnings report. Their revenue in the fourth quarter jumped 44% to $1.08 billion, beat Wall Street estimates on their AI-related demand for both compute, networking, and memory within the company's semiconductor testing business. They also issued a first quarter revenue forecast that was better than expected. And again, they are going to open up well above their 52-week high, 298 there. So definitely sky high. That has some of the other similar names moving. So Teradyne, definitely a market leader also today. Other names I've been watching on the earnings, Pfizer. If I can figure out where I have them, I will just pull them up. Pfizer is down about 4.39% in the pre-market here. Let me just make sure I have this set correctly. The pharmaceutical giant posted fourth quarter's adjusted earnings and revenue that absolutely topped consensus estimates, and it did reaffirm its 2026 outlook, but that was below what some forecasts were out there. So you see getting hit here down about 4.5% today. One of the laggards, why the Dow is a laggard today. Keep an eye on that 25.15 level here. That would be what I'd be looking for, a retrace to maybe in a possible good spot for an entry there for some sort of swing trade would be in that 25.18 range, probably. See what we get there. One of the other ones, a surprise beat, DVA. This is a healthcare company. We know they have been under huge pressure lately, but DaVita up about 12.69% here today. They did reported adjusted earnings per share that exceeded the estimates. They came in right about, I think, I thought it was 314. Came in at 340 versus 324. So a little beat there, a little top line revenue beat. So that has added some strength here. And again, ugly chart over the last, going all the way back to February of last year when it gapped down on its earnings. It has been free fall since. Does this reverse the ship? It looks like a start. So DVA looking pretty good here on that this morning. On the other side of good news, let's stick with bad news. PayPal is down 17% here. Their adjusted earnings and revenue most recent quarter missed expectations. Volume growth in their branded checkout, a highly watched metric, slowed to 1% this quarter compared with 6% the year before. They did name current HP Inc. CEO Enrique Loris as its new CEO, replacing Alex Chris. So they are making a change in their leadership there to try to, keep things moving in the proper way, but definitely getting hit pretty hard here. This is one that I got to pull it down to see where it's at 43.27. It hasn't seen levels this low in a long time, all the way back to 2017. So PayPal definitely still under pressure here. That does have some other sympathy names like XYZ, Block, and others moving to the downside also. So keep that in mind. Other names to keep an eye on this morning that had less than stellar earnings: NXPI, which is a semiconductor company, down about 3.5% here. The company did beat earnings and revenue estimates for the fourth quarter, but their guidance for the first quarter was lower than expected by Wall Street, and that has them down at that 223 level. You can see here they just broke below the 50-day simple moving average, but still above the 200. If it can get a little bit of a bounce back, could be a play. But NXP Semiconductor is another one that is moving in the wrong direction today. Some others that are in the news so far: Rambus RMBS. That is another one that has been very volatile lately. Down about 9% here on its earnings. It said it expects first quarter product revenue of 84 to 90 million, which was below analyst forecasts of 96.5. So shares of them declined 7.7%. Earnings, like we're talking about, definitely in the news. Ones to keep an eye on after the bell. The big heavyweight of the day is AMD. They will report after earnings today. It's going to be a big one to keep an eye on. Right now, trading up about 2%, was up 6% yesterday. So this one, 251. Going to give you a good read on what's going on, and this is big enough to move the entire chip sector. So tonight, a lot of eyes will be on AMD. I did have a note on other earnings here today. Hold it 1 second. We also have Amgen, AMGN. They will be reporting after hours today. We also have another semiconductor, SMCI. We know they've been under pressure for a while. We have Chipotle after that, which give you a good read into the consumer and restaurant segment. And lastly, we have Lumen, LUMN tonight. But the bigger news is that we're going to have Google and Apple coming up on deck. Google up nicely today, the leader in the Mag 7, up 1.24% so far in the pre-market. And again, their earnings will be tomorrow. Amazon is currently up about 41 basis points at 243.95. They go into earnings the day after. So we've got Google tomorrow, Amazon the next day, and those are definitely where we'll be looking. So far, leaders in the pre-market have been the AI data center semi components. So names like Teradyne, we mentioned, Palantir, INTC. Intel was looking pretty good here this morning earlier. Up about 4%. AAOI was another one. Alpha, Alpha, Omega, India. Up about 4.21% here this morning. It also has some of the data centers. Wolf, WULF, which is TerraWolf, was up double digits this morning. And still up about 12% at $15. So nice move to the upside there. IREN, Iron, another one with a nice gap to the upside here today. So we're seeing some of the data center names get a little bit of love so far, up about 2.84%, although that is a little off the highs of the day. We did see an analyst upgrade on SoFi from JP Morgan, of all people. I don't know why I say that, but it's just funny to me because I think of JP Morgan as a bank, and then SoFi, a bank judge and banks. Up about 3.5% here this morning. The narrative there being super app component was brought up by their analysts there. So nice move to the upside by SoFi so far. We'll see what we get at open. Other names that I'm watching more on the downside, we do see some weakness across software and IT services. Some names like Wix, WIX. Down about 4% yesterday, another 22 basis points today. Team was another one. Down yesterday, almost 4%. Today, another 2.5%. So those software names seem to be under pressure. Did notice, I don't know if it's still the case, but Chinese names were down slightly this morning also, even though their index was up. Baidu was down, down 3% yesterday, another 2.37% today. JD, another name to keep an eye on there. That's more on the retail sector. Down to 5.5% between the 2 days. So those are definitely there. Pepsi had earnings this morning, and while they had an EPS and a earnings beat, they did mention that they might lower prices. So those of you looking to fight inflation, maybe Pepsi going to give you a hand here, as they talked about the fact that their products are a little bit under pressure here. Now it's up 1.24%. So they, like I said, they had a fairly strong earnings, but we're not seeing that translate into into move. And part of that was basically on the back of price increases or price decreases. With that being said, they did raise their stock buyback. They're going to buy back $10 billion of stock. And they also did raise their dividends. So they had some strength in their report. It wasn't immediately rewarded, but now it is moving to the upside. So Pepsi actually catching a little bit of a bid here as we get ready for the day. We are about 35 minutes from the open. Let's take our first look at advanced decline, showing how many stocks are either opening up in the green or the red. We've got a little bit of breath today. So we've got about 1,400 stocks that are set to open in the green, more than in the red so far on the open. We've also said the volatility index that we gauge with the VIX is still moving to the downside, the low here around $16.19. And the DXY, the dollar index, moving slightly down. So some things that give you at least the morning look that we could see some risk oncoming. On the other side of that, usually a hedge versus risk is gold and silver. Both of those skyrocketing today. Gold up 5.7%. Silver up almost 11% this morning, and copper up 5.46%. Oil also moving to the upside. So again, a lot of things moving up so far this morning. AMD is going to be our big earnings after the bell, up about 2%. Did see a lot of those sort of beta names. ASTS up about 3% in the pre-market. Fly up about 1.44. I'd seen Joby was up. All those ONDS, Ondas was up. So a lot of those names were up in the morning. So it does show some of that risk on appetite out there. Saving it here for Big Beat, but we'll talk more about what's going on with the U.S. and India. I do think that is a very strong setup for us. I do think that is something, Mr. Flanagan definitely talked about as being something he was looking for months ago. Now it is in the works or already signed. It looks pretty strong for the U.S., so could give us some headwinds or tailwinds, excuse me, moving into our trading day so far. Other names to keep an eye on here today or that are moving. Let me grab my other list here. Merck was another name, so going back into the pharmaceutical side. Computer going slow here. Try that again. Now we're talking. Merck is down 1.38%. They did have their earnings. The biotechnology company posted better than expected earnings for the fourth quarter, but the company's forecast is weighing on shares so far. They posted adjusted earnings of $2.04 a share and sales of $16.4 billion, ahead of profits expected and top-line revenue. But the company pointed to strength in its oncology, respiratory, and cardiometabolic business, but it was offset by weakness in their vaccines, as they did in the prior quarter. Sales of Keytruda, their cancer immunotherapy drug, continue to see growth, rising about 7%. So that was good to see. Their Gardasil family of vaccines, though, is down 34%. Decline stemmed from lower demand in China and sales in Japan. So that still moved to the downside. So Merck under a little bit of pressure here today on that news or on that release. So they've been moving down in the pre-market, down now about 1.2% here so far. I mentioned Pepsi's earnings here, so let me grab their notes. As we mentioned, they are up now. The first move had been to the downside. The drink and snack company posted core earnings of about $2.26 a share on net revenue of $29.34 billion. Their fourth quarter results showed some sequential acceleration, a little bit of organic revenue growth. But again, what was weighing on them earlier was the fact that they're going to lower some of their prices. They did announce a $10 billion buyback, and they did increase their dividend, so that has them moving. But at the same time, they talked about higher input costs, labor expenses, and transportation spending having weighed on margins. So it is up nicely here, 1.52%. We'll see what we get. Let's get ready for the big man himself, I see he's getting ready to join us here. Let's get his intro going.
When markets move, Stephen E. Orr takes the chair. From the White House to Wall Street, he's spent decades at the intersection of policy, markets, and real capital. And he's seen firsthand how institutions use data behind closed doors. Now, as founder of Quasar Markets, his mission is to pull those signals into the open so everyone can see what really moves the markets. This is Stephen E. Orr, Big Beat on Wall Street. Let's filter the future live.
Okay, the question everybody's got right away. Did you sell silver yet?
Nope, still long.
Okay, so you said if it jumped up to 85, you would consider selling. So at
Yep.
88, you're holding? I love
At
it. I love it. Okay, I got that one wrong, everybody. I had thought that maybe Big Beat would have taken some profit there. But
And
I
I'm
love it.
long I'm long AGQ, which is double. So that was obvious for us. Yeah, up 20% right now.
Nice move there. Absolutely. Markets are set to open. Dow a little bit of a laggard, Steve. We do see tech and earnings are driving the bus. Nice earnings by Palantir. Any read there that you liked?
Not really. Kind of in line, actually. I mean, they're still making a little bit more money. The government's still spending more money on the government. Good morning, Zora. Look, not really much of anything, to be honest with you. I think Palantir is just doing their job, to be honest with you. That's it.
Yeah, it's now at 230 times earnings, which is just insane. The thing for me that was important, their commercial sector revenue that I've been talking about did skyrocket. It's now more than a third of their business, up 137%. So we are seeing some movement there, but tough to justify 230%. Steve, the other one with earnings that's just moving way to the north here is Teradyne. And their story was all about robotics. They are pulling back heavily here after reaching morning highs. What did you think about their earnings?
I mean, robotics is the key, right? I mean, we talked about this beginning, right? And I've talked about robotics about 10 years. And, when you look at the evolution of robotics and you talk about it from the perspective of automobiles, how many people did the robotics in General Motors replace people, right? Almost all of them in the factories putting the cars together. So when you look at companies today that are just putting their arms around robotics, to be honest, hugging the robotics, you've got to think about where they're going to be, right? So it took, there were over 200 car companies at the turn of the century until Henry Ford made mass-produced cars on assembly line, right? And he used robotics even then, right? Which was how to move the car through the assembly line. So yeah, I don't see anything other than people getting replaced, and those cars will save money because they don't need health insurance. They don't need to be replaced. They just need a little bit of oil and a little bit of maintenance and software. And blue collar workers can't do software. So there you go. I think it's just a matter of time, and I think the speed of which I think probably within 10 years we'll have a robot in our house.
That's awesome. I love it. Steve, we didn't talk about it yesterday. ISM came in nicely above 50. So that marker you always look for. Does this mean higher for longer? What is your takeaway from that? Did you like what you saw?
Social media was like, oh my God, 52, woohoo. Not really. I mean, expansion's at 50, right? So contraction is under 50, and you get 52. Wow, that's not a whole lot. So not really. If we're trying to be a manufacturing country, let's talk about 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. Let's get to those numbers. Then we can talk. 52, it could just be where they were front running some of this stuff, right? So I don't think so. I think the narrative is wrong, and a lot of businesses are talking about it. Oh, 52, man, I'm telling. It's like when you're trying to lose weight and you lose 2 pounds. Oh my God, you're going to run down to the local grocery store and buy donuts, right? It's not. That's the case. We're not there yet.
Okay. I'm sorry, I got lost there. I had something, and then when I started listening to you, I listened to you too much there, Steve, and I lost my train of thought on what I was going to ask next. It was ISM, and then I definitely lost that train of thought there. I apologize.
How about the German 30-year bond now climbing the highest level since 2011?
Oh, India. Jeez, I can't believe my mind. So yes, let's talk about that German bond. But then India was what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah, you look at JGBs, you look at Japan's government bonds, you look at GGBs, German bonds, and the world's changing. They're trying to gain more money, and doing so, they need to raise their rates. You're not going to get lower rates in the United States because of that. I don't care who you can put 100 Kevin Warshes in there. It's not going to happen. The whole world's doing that. So, no, I don't think so. I think we're going to see rates go higher.
Go higher. Okay. And then what's that?
4.295 when the U.S. 10 years actually pushing.
Oh yeah, U.S. 10 years almost at the 4.3 level. Yeah, absolutely. Steve, India. So Mr. Flanagan, a couple of months after what he thought, but we got that treaty now with India. It looks from the surface to be pretty good. Did you break it down at all? And what are you seeing in there?
Well, I a couple of days ago, I talked about that with him, and yesterday, the rupee, right? I'm sorry, on Monday, the rupee, and I thought the rupee had beaten up way too much, and it's up 1.4% today, right? That's a lot for the rupee. It has, if you look at the chart of the rupee, it's all the way against the dollar. It's all the way to the bottom, and that to me tells me where we are with them, because we do spend a lot of money in India. India's in trouble. I think India might start losing software companies very fast, actually.
Really?
I think you're going to start seeing those software companies move to other countries very quickly, like Brazil, which is already happening, and major companies are already doing that. I think India's in trouble. I think India's in serious trouble here, and I think that's why you're seeing the dollar slipping a little bit, and because we'll start moving money out of as they try to attract more money into India. I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna do very badly, actually, and I think it's gonna be very bad very quickly too. Not just bad. I mean bad quickly too as well.
So does that mean you're getting out of those emerging market, because they're in those emerging market things, right?
Well, they got to stop playing nicey with Russia. They got to start playing nicey with some of these countries that are on the fringes, right?
Well, they said they're going to stop buying oil from Russia, so that's start number one. Now, whether they do or not, we don't know.
But I mean, you still got to play. But here's the thing: their border is Russia. So, how do you change their philosophy here, right? They still have problems with Pakistan. India's not out of the woods yet. So, I know some Indians might disagree with me on that, but I'm pretty good about understanding the markets there.
Absolutely. So, Steve, we got earnings tonight. The big name on tap is AMD. What are you expecting out of their earnings this evening?
Good. I expect them to beat. Is it enough to push the stock up? Probably not. I think the guidance. Oh, they're going to say, "Oh, we're AI." I expect them to say that a million times. But I don't see this being a big push. So no, I'm not. I think AMD may just flatten out a little bit.
Okay. We are about 20 minutes from the open. Advanced declines at 1462. So we've got some breath in the market to the upside so far. The NASDAQ seems to be the leader, up about 46 basis points so far, again, led by names like Teradyne and Palantir. The S&P up 20 basis points here, holding above 7,000 today. And the Dow a slight laggard, and we've seen a couple of healthcare names and energy names that are dragging that down in general. The big mover today, of course, silver. BigBeat is long and staying long. Gold also looking to regain that $45,000 handle. Bitcoin still struggling, but back above that 78,000 mark, and Ethereum under even more pressure at 2,300 so far. Steve, what else are you watching so far this morning?
Right now, not a lot, to be honest with you. I'm gonna stick my hands on the underneath my yeah.
Okay, not trading today. You do worried about tweet analysis. What's got that?
I'm gonna sit on my hands a bit. I'm gonna sit on my hands a bit.
Okay. Any reason why?
Because I haven't seen anything yet in this market, and I'm a little nervous, and I don't like nervousness.
Okay, Big Beat's starting to get a little nervous. We usually know what comes next there. Steve, what about the mining companies? They interest you at all? We see a big move up by SSRM, TMC, Albemarle, Newmont, any of those names?
No.
Okay. You fading anything? I mean, if you're not buying
I know
anything,
people
you
want me to
fading it?
say something here and give them a stock, but the market
On a stock, something. I mean, I don't know what else. We can talk about
Silver.
the Patriots if you want.
The
I
whole-
would love
the whole
to. I'd
world
love to
is
talk
about
about Drake May for the next 10 minutes.
The whole world is about silver, right? I mean, the whole world's about metal.
Okay. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's grabbing liquidity from everywhere,
Right.
without a doubt. To me, you also got the sectors, the chip names have been moving after Teradynes and after Palantir. So we'll see if they move. We still see fades across most of those software IT names, Team Now, those. So there is a lot of volatility. There's a lot of names to trade. You just got to pick whether you think they're going to continue to move to the downside, if they're going to recover. Steve, not surprisingly, Chinese names getting hit here today. Baidu, JD, and some of those. Not, think all eyes are going to be on the Olympics. Is that part of it too? You getting ready tomorrow night? I mean, I know opening ceremonies aren't till Friday, but I saw one of my favorite events starts tomorrow, curling.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I love the Olympics.
I love it. I love it. Olympics, always a good time to watch there. Steve, how's your weather down there in Florida? Nat gas, I was surprised to see it come down a little bit further today after reports that Europe is less than 50% of storage capacity there for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, the Europeans now are in trouble because it's cold and they're not getting as much nat gas now from Russia. The spigots have been turned off a bit. James is now saying sitting on hands is giving us something very important piece of investment that many are missing. Absolutely. Right. When I always say all the time, it is a trade, right? I'm sitting here on a huge profit here in silver on both sides of the aisle. I'm not on the downside, as we all know, and now back to the upside. I blasted it out on Instagram. And you know what? I don't want to give that back. I really want to be able to take that money and then put it into some more mutual funds and pile that cash away. Because trust me, it's not fun losing the kind of money that I lost, the other day. And yeah, I've got all that back and a whole lot more and a lot more and a lot more. But now it's like finding alpha isn't easy. And I think that's part of it right now. You're going to see people go, oh, look at my chart. Look at my chart. My chart's telling me this. So we're trying to tell you anything, right? Because I'm telling you right now, charts didn't tell me to go buy silver. Charts didn't tell me to go. News didn't tell me to buy silver. The bounce did, right? The bounce was like, okay, stupidity went the one way, stupidity went the other way, and it is. And I took advantage of that, right? That's not charts, right? That's not news, because really the news hasn't changed. Yeah, Kevin Warsh is in trouble in the Senate. Yeah, but the overall thinking about the world hasn't changed. There's still the same geopolitical issues. The dollar is still an issue on this, right? So dollar is really pretty much setting the table for silver. And that to me, Mira analysis, I think we need to cut rates more than a point this year. Oh my. Okay, well there you go. SoftBank and Intel sign a pact on next-gen memory technology. Intel should be popping here on that news then.
Intel was already popping.
Is that what it was? Sorry, I'm missing it.
Yeah.
I mean, Intel hasn't shown me anything. I call nonsense on the Intel situation here. Now, Intel is in the situation where charts should be used here, and there's no doubt about that. But I'm not really. Wow. I'm looking at silver. I mean, silver is taking all the air right now in the markets.
It really is. I mean, there's no doubt the volume on the perpetual futures have been through the roof, billions a day, even on Coinbase, on hyperliquid crypto derivatives. Exchanges are seeing more silver traded than volume on, anything else. You're right. It is. That's the story. It is the story. Without a doubt. I mean, silver is just insane. 10% swings in a day on something that used to just sit there and sort of plod along either up or down, right?
Right.
So that is where everyone's playing today. BigBeat is long on it. So that is his view on it there going into it. I love it. He's definitely nailed this trade better than probably anybody else out there, without a doubt. So, you definitely want to keep an eye on what he says there. I do have to start to head out of here, BigBeat. You guys have an amazing day today. And like Steve said, no trade is a trade. So don't be afraid to just sit on those profits if you've been following Steve's plays over the last few weeks. And good luck, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the market, and I'm going to pull up some charts here today for everybody. I mean, when I talked about charting being an issue, and I'm going to pull this up so I've got so everybody understands what I'm doing here. All right, so I'm going to pull up. And I hope that's a little bit better than I had been. I've been using website. There we go. Hope that's a little bit better for you. I'm going to pull up the XAG here, which is silver. You can see it pulling back here. We got to about 89.50, and now we're going to pull back because people can't hold, and they're just, it's too crazy for people. This is a 1 hour chart on silver. You can see where I said we would go to the lines. There's the 85 that we talked about, and to me, the noise behind it and around it was just a little too high. So I was like, okay, just stay high, stay long on it. If we can hold here now where the resistance becomes support, which looks like it is, we could run the 94 very quickly and then right back up to 100. You know, getting back to the 200-day M&A, right, which is there, then I think you're looking at 102. But we're not going back to 121. Okay, so just be careful out there. And this is a 1 hour chart, so the 1 hour charts are getting nervy a little bit here too. So that's why RSI is still telling you a little high too as well. So it looks like people just can't hold. It looks like it's because early markets. It looks like it's the Robin Hooders are now scared a little bit. Normal numbers. I'm not too concerned about this. We'll probably go right back up, and it probably will. You can see here the waves 1, 2, 3, and 4. And let's see where that goes with Elliott waves, but I'm not seeing that just yet. So, you know, look, it is what it is. When we were talking about Palantir earlier, Palantir up 12% here. I don't see it, right? 165. Okay, I think we're right there where we were. So, if anybody has any stocks out there that are interested in looking at them, we can do that. But I'll be honest with you, sitting on my hands today is definitely where I want to be. I don't want to be anywhere near this market at all. I don't like it. I don't like what's going on in the markets, and people are, you know, when you struggle to find alpha, then you struggle to find alpha. That means it's a struggle. That means algos are looking for it. People are looking for it. It becomes quite, oh, let's go find a stock. And what happens is you start chasing other individual stocks, and we don't want to do that right now. If you look at the QQQ, again, I would be very careful. I know it's up 100 points today. I can see here the Qs are up 2.46. I mean the Nasdaq, I should say, where they're up almost future up 95.75 right now. You know, this is telling me that I don't like this market. It's fully priced in again, and you can see with my numbers here, this is where the buyers and sellers are. So I don't like this market. I'm going to wait a bit. Obviously my longs, my permanent longs are staying long. I'm not touching anything there, but look, I think you can see another pullback. We saw a massive pullback there at 634. Here we are at 628. What is it? What am I saying by that? Well, if you look at the, let's see if I can pull some of this up. There it is, right? You're not seeing anything in there. Now I'm going to pull up a 3 hour chart, which is, as we all know, why. There's the 1 hour and there's the 3 hours, so they're pretty much close. Okay, so let me lay these lines out for everybody so you all understand what I'm doing. Right? That's what I think is going to happen. We're starting to see a little bit of rounding out. Now, on the 3 hour chart, I get it. but I'm not seeing it. And that's MACD, RSI. RSI seems a little bit overbought here. I just be careful. I really be careful here. There you go. And I think that's what you're seeing a little bit here. So just be careful out there. I don't like these numbers. These numbers don't tell me anything here, except maybe back down to the downside. And we're not seeing any news or the Fed's, don't fight the Fed. I keep hearing that, don't fight the Fed. Well, the Fed's kind of out of the picture right now. So I don't really see that being an issue right now. So be careful out there about the Fed. Look, I'm going to pull up some. Royal Caribbean was one that I have been keeping my eye on. There's Royal Caribbean. I can tell you that I have been getting, and as a cruiser myself, I can tell you that, and you can see where my lines were, right? There's where my buy line was. There's my sell line. I put those in personally, and we got halfway in there, right? So if you look at Fibonacci, I know people don't want to see that. I get it. But they're right in the lines. So look at that. Fibonacci sequence, perfect. But to me, I'm not seeing all of this, right? I'm going to pull it over here so you can see a little better. I'm just not seeing it, right? They're in the right lines. So it tells me, and the number of Royal Caribbean cards that I get for free cruises, I've got 74 free cruises now. I can't even use one right now, right? So yeah, James, I think you're right. Can we do SanDisk? Yep. Okay, SanDisk. Yeah. SanDisk is another crazy one, right? Let's pull up a monthly chart on SanDisk so I can get it right. There you go. Kind of looks like what? Silver. I don't like SanDisk at all. Up here is nuts. There we go. There's your weekly charts, and I'm telling you right now, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There won't be the 9 will be the downside, right? We know that. So I don't like this here. I don't like RSI and I don't like MACD. There's nothing in these now. Right now, you can't tell me that charts are important because they're really not here because it's being beaten up by beaten up the wrong side. They're trying to take out some of the shorts, which they have. They've really taken the shorts out. So I don't like SanDisk here. Take some profit here. MU, yeah, Micron. Same thing here, Micron. No, this is nutty. Yeah. And on a supply shortage, what happens if the shortage goes away? Right. And I can tell you what happens when it goes away. That happens. Yeah. So look at this buying in here. I like this. This is some serious buying in here on silver. You saw my silver sell back here. We'll be able to get back here. So I want to move this line. I'm going to create the line here for us. Sorry about that. Yeah. It's nuttiness. That's what I'm saying. Your charts are worthless here. So just be careful. Maybe RSI is pulling back a little bit, but I don't know. This is a weekly chart, by the way. Daily chart on that. I get it. It's bouncing a little bit, but I don't like it. So, but that's not why I bought it, right? I bought it because quite frankly, it's going to go back up because the nuttiness of people. Okay, let's get to it. Netflix. So people have been asking me about Netflix. Where do I like Netflix? Well, you notice there's where my line was. Why do I draw all these lines? Because that's where support and resistance are, right? That's where things and people are. And that's, yeah. So I think we're getting very, very close to where I think we could be. I'm going to draw a line here again for you so you get a better picture. Where support, you can see right there, that had been where they broke through. You can see right here that became resistance and then it bounced off that support. So we've closed it. Now there are no gaps. And you can see the sell-off went right back to the numbers. So this is why I do like Netflix down here. They will be seeing Batman, and I think we're talking about Friends. We already know that because of Warner Brothers. But this is already getting crazy. So I'm liking this. I'm liking this because I think we might see. Look at the R side, way out of the bounds on the downside. Look at all this. Wow, I like this. This is actually good. Silver bouncing a little bit here too. Again, I'm gonna keep my eye on silver. We're about 4 minutes now to the open, cash open in the markets, stock market. But I'm keep my eye here on a 3-minute chart here. Yeah, there's the lines. Look at this. Oversold on the 3-minute. But again, the charts really they're not. If you're using charts on your silver, my goodness, you're kind of wrong because silver has nothing to do with the charts right now. I could listen, and somebody's been in technical analysis almost all of his life. I learned on graph paper and pen, as everybody knows. I can make any chart fit any line. Okay, any good technical analysis person can do that. I can take lines and make lines match, right? But what I want to do is show actual things, right? So I'm going to pull up an arc. Right? I can make lines match to where it needs to happen. So when I look at that's an arc. How many people actually use arcs in their trading? Probably very few. I'm probably one of the few that uses it. I use arcs so that I understand what the direction is. In this case, you can see as I bend them around to get what I want. I can make it fit, right? But to an untrained eye, that's just me making an arc, right? I understand the arcs because I understand and I tell you all the time, if you don't understand calculus, charting is kind of tough, to be honest with you. Ooh, it's pretty lines, but you need to understand calculus. You need, at least you don't have to understand it like how to do it in paper and pen. For many years, I didn't understand calculus. I didn't understand how it worked. I had trouble with calculus. And it was way out of my thought process. But when I began to understand calculus and I got it, it clicked, then I understood why. And now I use it. Now you can see the curve and I can see the arc here and I can see what's going on in the curve. I can bend the curve to make it fit, right? So what I'm trying to do is not trying to fit the chart. I'm trying to find the right technical analysis to be on the chart. Does that make sense? I say this all the time. If your charts look the exact same as it did 3 months ago, you're stupid. You're stupid. You don't understand charting. Oh, the technical chart is going to tell you I had the same 20, 50, 100-day moving average on my charts, and that's what you should look at. And that's what. Okay, great. But this is not stocks anymore. This is silver. How is silver different? Because silver has different volume. Why does silver have different volume? It's just volume. No. Because silver doesn't have the same number of futures contracts as a options contract is on stocks, right? So it's different. Now you see how I sent the arc, and I know the arc's going, so I get it. But I can also arc the other way. Getting a master class on investing here, and see what I'm saying? I can make the arcs go both ways, which I normally do. And why do I do that? To give me a better pricing. Oops, did somebody learn something? The market's open, by the way. That is professional arcing. If you don't want to know, if you want to know right there, that's what arcing does for people. I'm still long AGQ for those of you who are keeping your eye. I'm not worried about silver here. I think silver pushes higher here. You can see it here. That's arcing. And what have I done? I've created myself a pinpoint for where I think that the stock, or in this case, silver should go to. So yeah. And it looks like, see, well, that's what I mean. Like I'm not really seeing anything in this. And that now all of a sudden we're in the midst of the day trades. And yeah, I don't know. It's not, I don't agree with it right now. So let's just let it do its thing. I can say linear regression, but listen, folks, linear regression is the lowest form of charting, by the way. It's literally easy. It's like color book for kids, right? It's great for your first learning how to trade, but there's more to trading and more technical analysis. If you look at my technical analysis, I've got tons of them. You can see here, this is just my candles up here, right? These are my, look at all this, right? That's what I want to see. If you're not using VWAP auto anchored, then that's another one, right? I'm going to use auto anchored VWAP, which is now on the system. Right? I'm $87 on silver. You can see what I've done. I've proved that the arcs work, and I think arcing works when you had a big move, right? So, and this is the big move in silver, obviously, and when you have high volume. So. This is what I mean. I like this, and I think it'll probably go back up to 88 and chill out there, maybe up there. But I want to have an advantage over everybody else. I don't want to have 20, 50, 100-day moving averages, because that's what everybody has, right? I want to know more than just what everybody else has. Now, why do I like it what everybody else has? Because then I know where their thinking is, right? I can also see a rune. How many people have a rune on their charts? Probably not many. Right, I'm one of the maybe top 3% of chartists don't do that. Right, here's your runes. Right, a rune down, a rune up. This is like telling me the number of people that are buying and selling. I can tighten it up for you. Right, when you have their rune cross, it's usually a pivot point. There's a pivot point. See, this is upside pivot point, and it looks like a pivot point to the downside. So we've seen that. Now let's see it turn back around. Probably didn't even know what a rune was, or I can probably pull up good old-fashioned Bollinger Bands. There you go. Sorry about that. Look at that. And then I'm going to pull up. There you go. So it looks like it could run right back up if you're charting on this. Based on a 5-minute. Now I'm going to pull up a 3-minute, because why? That's what Wall Street uses, threes, right? We know that. And again, so if you want to tighten it up, maybe, but I'm not seeing that right now. I think we still stick at 87. I think that's where we stick to. So I know there's probably some sellings and profit taking. People love profit taking. Qs are dropping here. Dow's up 96. Nasdaq's up 31. I said this earlier in the show that I think it's sitting on your hands. This is a no man's land market. Silver is trying to pull back a little bit. I'm not scared of this silver market here, to be honest with it. So many people are, though. And nothing's happening, right? You can go, oh, let's go look at this stock and let's look at that stock. Look, getting singles every day is how we win, right? That's how we win. All right, we've tested again the third time. Let's pull up a 10-second chart here, because it looks like the people are just trying to scalp with 1,000 options again. Silly 0 DTEs. You're getting crushed, by the way. There you go. $87, still holding 86. We're 86.80. Still we're holding here. So that's what I've said. This is right where it's at. I know everybody's wanting to look at. If there's any other stock you want to look at, we can do that too as well. But I don't see any alpha in this markets. Palantir's even slipping back down. Now only up 7% as it was up 11 earlier. 86.93, right at the 87 handle. So that's pretty much what I said was going to happen. There's 87. PayPal is down in 17.5%. Let's look at a day chart on PayPal. I mean, it's. Does anybody actually even use PayPal anymore? Yeah, look at that PayPal number there. Look at that. Look at that number down there. We're getting down into where the resistance became support. PayPal could be right the numbers now if you're looking to buy PayPal, but I don't. I mean, does anybody actually use PayPal anymore? I don't think PayPal is what we use anymore. Wow. Wow. This one could get even beaten up even more, actually. You got a 1 minute chart. There are some buyers, but not many. 87.20 now on silver. 87.30 now on silver. I'm just watching silver today, folks. And 87.20. 87 is where it's at. I would like to see it push up higher because I am long AGQ, as everybody knows. This is nothing here. 87.04 again on silver. Okay, a little pop there, silver, little pop, little pop. $176.22 here on AGQ. Interesting here. $88 now on silver here. Can we get back to 89.90? Be nice, but And I just sold my silver, folks. I like that run there. That was a nice little run. I may be wrong, but I like that silver. Wow, I did it live on the air here. I sold my silver. Wow. I did not expect this kind of run here like this. It was definitely a nice run. Why did I sell my silver? Because this pop here, you saw this. I said 87 on silver. Now I'm looking at AGQ because I have AGQ. I like the ultra side of this. And you can see Bitcoin money was coming down a bit here, under 78 again. That money is probably running into the silver market. But I don't like this here now. I'm going to pull up a day chart and show you what I mean by it. But I did like the move here. And on the day chart, if you got the patience for it, we could get right back up where I thought we'd get back up to about 200. Yeah, I don't like this up here though. Let me just pull up a 1 minute chart here for everybody so they understand what I'm looking at. There you go. Seems kind of lonely up there. Yeah, there you go. There's your rounding again. Kind of what I thought. And you can see how I made those lines earlier, right? They're playing right in the middle of the lines. They're arcing. Now you watch everybody on social media be arcing here. They'll probably watch my videos and start arcing, which is fine. I want everybody to understand how the world works. But yeah. Yeah, not really seeing it here now. It's holding. Platinum also up 7% here. Yeah, there we go. There's your sell. I had a feeling that was it. And that's calculus, folks. And so you notice how I've laid the lines over the arcs. That's calculus. All right. Automatic calculus. So you can see here where the line is holding here. And I've said that. That's where I thought. That's where we got. Sold it, right? But when I built the arcs earlier, that's laying the lines out in spots. But now I've laid the lines on top. So that's calculus, right? Now you're understanding the lines. And I bet you even some of the best chartists don't really understand calculus. Wow. And why is it important to understand it? Because right there's why. Now that's not 20-day, 50-day, and 100-day moving averages. Oh, there's a lot of lines on your charts. How do you understand them? Well, after 35 years, kind of I can look at the chart in 5 seconds, tell you everything about that chart. Q still selling off here. I had a feeling, folks, that this was not the day to go play in the basket here. So yeah. $97.55 now on the Dixie here. If you haven't got a chance to see it, I would suggest seeing the video that I did, the interview I did yesterday with Ralph Acampora, the godfather of technical analysis. The reason you all have charts. Fed's Barkin now says that Tom Barkin says that a lack of job growth will be uncomfortable even if unemployment stays low. He's now agreeing that unemployment is sticky here and job growth is slow down, is uncomfortable. We already know that. People are losing jobs due to AI. We already know that. I'm glad the Fed's trying to figure that out now. We'll make a social media post about this, right? Done. And you can see that the markets really haven't moved much. Silver 88.32, trying to push a little bit, but I think that's just, yeah. Q's trying to bounce a bit here. Dow's up 170. It's a very quiet day here. You know, one stock that we have been talking about quite a bit has been Walmart. And at the CMT in Tampa, I did hear a lot about Walmart. And I'm going to pull up a daily chart on Walmart. Look at that sucker. That has been an absolute wonderful thing. You can see here in Walmart, all right. Look at that. It's It's right on him too, isn't it? Now, if you don't know what those red and blue lines are, some people usually use red and green. I like red and blue because on a black, they pop out a little bit better. But that's linear regression. That's what I mean. Like linear regression is the lowest form of technical analysis, right? It's kind of for starting out. Yeah, you can see it here. I mean, this has just been one of those things, right? So this one could pull back here. Walmart could pull back a little bit. And that's on a daily chart. If you pull up a weekly chart, you can see cups. Yeah, we're in the weekly charts. You can see getting a little bit out of control here too as well. But if you're a chartist, you like that, man, that's interesting. There's IBM. And I've been liking IBM, as I mentioned that on Schwab Network not too long ago. When I was on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, I mentioned IBM. Almost 89 now on silver, 180 now on AC. Yeah, but yeah. It's interesting. Got about 8 minutes down to the open, or to the top of the hour. Well, I'm sorry that I'm bringing the firepower today. I just thought that was this morning, right? I just thought that was the key, right? AGQ. Yeah, but I'm not sold on all this yet. Down here is awesome. Up here, not so much. Yep, we just mentioned a few minutes ago, Netflix. I thought that was the bottom. Looks like they did find the bottom there finally. I had a feeling that was the case. Yeah, we talked about that. I even laid the lines out for you. Now, if we can pull up a 1 minute chart. Yeah, that was it. I thought that, see that line right there? I thought that was the case. Look at that. Man. Didn't buy any, but I thought that was the bottom. $179.07 now on the ACQ. I had a feeling that silver was probably going to. That's pretty much it. Microsoft still just selling. Yeah, James, let's look at Microsoft for you. Again, I'm not, I said this yesterday. I did not like their numbers. And I didn't like the way that they played the game. The Xbox is pun intended there. I wasn't a fan of Microsoft. I still think they got more of the downside, to be honest with you. There's the daily chart. They're pretty much in that no man's land. I think probably down to about under 400 is probably where they'll start, where that last resistance. Now we all know that gaps are a major thing, and this is the daily chart. Look at this gap here. So they're in the middle of no man's land right now, and they'll probably continue to sell because there's nothing there to hold it up. And you can see here that there are some buyers and some a lot of sellers here. I don't see anything going on here. I honestly, the bids are tough on them. Yeah, continuing to sell here. Let's pull up a 1 minute chart here. Yeah, you can still see it. Wow. Whenever you see a gap that's big, you saw that gap right here, right? So they got into that gap and stayed in the gap. So look at that gap. Being dinged about Palantir here. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that this morning. I wasn't impressed with Palantir, so profit taking happened in Palantir again. I like it at 35. I don't like it up here. And even more pressure. It looks like even more pressure to the downside. Look at that selling in here. Look at that volume. Look at on the 1 hour. Oof. Pull up a 30-minute. Yeah, if I look at that. Oof. 5 minutes. So there is a little bit of buying here, I guess. There's a fight here in the buys in the 5 minutes. Obviously, we know we want 3 minute. There you go. There's a 3 minute. Bitcoin fighting at the 77,000 handle here. And Q's continue to sell off here now. Down Nasdaq down to 161 points here. Yeah, Palantir still selling off. But can this down here be the support at 153.51 maybe? We're seeing a little bit of turning here. All right. And I said that this morning. I think that's what Howard was asking about. Is this one of those days that we set our hands? And I think the answer is yes. And I did. Could have shorted some things. But, I'm just not seeing it. And there's your AGQ. Ooh, that's a harsh box there. I'm reading that on Sentiment Trader right now about Hindenburg's Omen cluster. If you don't know what the Hindenburg cluster is, we can pull it up here as we go into the top of the hour. But wow, this could be, yeah, we're still picking up down 1% now in the Qs here. And you can see where my lines have been, and I've been pretty much dead on. Yeah, XAG 87, 81. It's just not that 80, 87, right? 87 will tell you where it's at. That's where it's going to be. 87 right in here. As you can see why. Right? I mean, it's the lines are there. See what the bounce off that was? That's a daily chart. So we had a nice bounce off of that. And that's where we are, 87.45. So I like this. You saw me with the arcs are, so there they are. Look at that. Almost. Look at that. Look at that. 77,000 now on Bitcoin, still dropping here. Yeah, 174.82 now on AGQ. All right, everybody. Thought I would give you a heads up and show you all this, and hopefully got some good education on the on arcing a little bit and some more knowledge. And I will see you right back here in about an hour or so. We've got more people coming up today.